Hi, I'm Qi Zhai-McCartney, and welcome to Expert Voices by KeyNote Women, a podcast where bold ideas and diverse voices shape the future of leadership. Now, I'm a couples therapist, executive coach, and former finance professional. These days, I work with high achievers from big tech to big banks, helping them build stronger relationships professionally and personally. Because relational intelligence isn't just a soft skill, it's how we build trust at work and intimacy at home. And today's leaders can't sustain success in one context without tending to the other. In this episode, I'll share why next level leadership means more than technical excellence. It's about inspiring emotional connection and building relational trust with all your key stakeholders in life, from team members and mentors to your spouse and kids. I'm an investment professional turned psychotherapist and coach. And let me tell you, cocktail party conversations have not been the same since I made this career change. When I worked in finance, people would ask me questions like, what's your read on macroeconomic and geopolitical risks? Now, people sidle up to me in hushed tones and say, so you're a couples therapist. Do you see married couples ever really getting past an affair? Asking for a friend. The questions people ask me have changed, but my observations about what makes high performers thrive or plateau have not changed. In fact, since I've been invited into the intimate world of successful people's marriages, my conviction has grown stronger. Whether I'm working with a portfolio manager, a partner at a law firm, or a tech founder, what I found is this: the habits, skills, and traits that helped us rise in our early careers can become the very things that block us from connecting deeply with key stakeholders, whether that's your team, your clients, your mentors, or even your partner at home, once you step into a bigger leadership role. Now, that's true at the office and at home, in the boardroom and in the bedroom, so to speak. Because one of the most confusing asks of modern leadership is this expectation that we model authenticity, demonstrate vulnerability, and connect emotionally. But few of us were ever taught how to do this. How do we do vulnerability as leaders without coming across as awkward, creepy, or cringy? How do we flex a muscle that up until now has been left to atrophy? The very tools that got us here are not the same tools that help us build emotional safety, trust, and connection with other people. And the environments that shaped our success, rigorous schooling, KPI heavy workplaces, achievement oriented families, these environments often neglected or even punished emotional expression. So, how do we model authenticity when we've spent our lives performing composure and control? How do we show up as real when the world has always rewarded us for being polished, poised, and high functioning? Here's what I've seen again and again. Most high achieving professionals don't know how to name their emotions, let alone harness them to build deeper relationships with their key stakeholders. This is why relational intelligence, the ability to recognize, to understand, and to manage the emotional dynamics between people, this is the leadership superpower of our time. Your emotional intelligence is what gets people to pound the table for you and also to share domestic duties with you. Now, I am the last of the Gen Xers. I was born right on the cusp of the millennial wave. My cohort came of age in a world shaped by post-war stoicism and capitalist productivity, where success meant showing no weakness and keeping emotions out of the office and out of the home. But repressing uncomfortable feelings or distracting ourselves from them, these don't create deeper connection. And avoiding hard conversations in the name of keeping the peace, it doesn't lead to greater mutual understanding. These avoidant habits, they don't protect our relationships, they actually keep them skating at the surface. Now, you might be thinking, that's not me. I've read the books, I've listened to the podcast, I've optimized myself. Well, see if these sound familiar. Oh, don't cry. What's the point of talking it out? The past is the past. Talking won't change anything. When I'm busy, I don't think about being sad or unmotivated. I don't have time for feelings. I just need to stay focused and get stuff done. These tactics are so common among my clients, and they are actually the opposite of what generates emotional buy-in from others to our success. What we need isn't to push feelings aside or power through. What we need is to inspire in others an emotional investment in our success. When we avoid feeling or shy away from vulnerable conversations, we might keep things running smoothly, but we also keep things shallow. Human beings bond through hardship, not ease. And that's true for other mammals too. So 10 years ago, I was working in China for a large American investment fund. I had a pet rabbit, and this was before I had kids. When it came time for me to relocate back to the US, I realized that China only issued pet permits for cats and dogs, so rabbits weren't even considered pets. I was a little bit panicked about what to do, and I had to find another home quickly for my bunny. Now, luckily, a friend of mine already had a house full of small critters. She had 4 kids and 1 rabbit, and she was willing to take my rabbit in. So on the handover day, I packed up my rabbit, brought it over, and my friend and I were excited to see how the two might get along. But as soon as I put my bunny into their rabbit pen, the two started growling at each other. Yes, rabbits can growl. I didn't even know that. So, disappointed, I packed up my rabbit to go home. And after some frantic Googling, I learned that while rabbits are highly social animals, they can also be very territorial. If you introduce 2 unfamiliar rabbits onto one of their home turf, they won't bond by playing or lounging. They'll actually fight. And it turns out that the right way to get bunnies to connect is through stress bonding. So I set a second handover date with my friend. This time I asked her to keep her husband on hand to help. He's the daddy taxi driver. When I arrived, we didn't go to the pen. We went out to their minivan. We put the 2 rabbits inside the car, and daddy taxi drove them around the block a few times. Now, riding in a car is an unfamiliar and stressful experience for rabbits. After that car ride, the 2 rabbits shared the pen, and I guess I could say they lived happily ever after. Think about that. It wasn't a pleasant or easy experience that got the 2 rabbits to become a team. It was shared stress that forged their bond. So why did the rabbits bond over stress and not over play? Because mammals are emotional co-regulators. We are wired to form attachment through shared experiences of distress. We bond when we can turn toward each other in uncertainty, discomfort, or fear, not when everything's easy. So this applies to bunnies and it applies to humans. We humans deepen our relationships by co-regulating stress, by letting others see our messy, unfiltered selves, and by being willing to see theirs. This is counterintuitive because most of us were raised to show a polished, high-performing, outside version of ourselves. But here is what I see all the time in my work with clients. Someone might think they have great work relationships, and then suddenly a person on their team resigns or starts to disengage. We might think we're liked by the senior partners in our firm, but then we get disappointed to find out that they didn't advocate for us when it mattered most. On the home front, we might parent well together and curate a beautiful home, but maybe we feel more like roommates than soulmates with our spouse. We have all been taught to keep the peace, to push down discomfort, and to avoid rocking the boat. But the future of leadership is asking for more. It's asking for real connection, for authenticity, and for vulnerability. So why are so many of us struggling with this kind of leadership? We all missed the emotional curriculum. Most of us spent about 12 years in school, and then maybe another 3 to 4 in university. Some of us go on to get a master's degree or a PhD. The so called A-list path to success for our generation was clear: get good grades, go to a name brand school, land a prestigious job with a 6 figure starting salary. To reach these goals, we mastered technical skills, facts, frameworks, execution, project management, and problem solving. We learned how to get stuff done. And I once attended a half-day workshop organized by an employer, literally titled GSD, but that one had a more controversial S word. Then we did all this, we get promoted, and suddenly the job isn't just managing a P&L, a product, or portfolio. It's now leading people. It's inspiring, motivating, and rallying people around a shared purpose. At the same time, in our personal lives, if we followed the social script for success, we're also raising kids, managing households, paying mortgages, trying to keep our marriage strong, all while we are building up to our professional peak. These two build outs happen generally in the same years. We might, on the home front, provide a beautiful house, nice holidays, and private schooling, but our domestic constituents, our spouses, our kids, they often say they want more from us. They want more connection, and we often don't know how to give it. And the truth is that very little in our traditional education, training, or upbringing prepared us for the emotional work of leadership. There is no line on report cards or performance reviews for emotional and relational intelligence, but it is our ability to tune in to ourselves and to others that determines whether we plateau or thrive in next level leadership. And that tuning in, that is relational intelligence. It's our ability to spot and navigate the shifts in emotional dynamics between people in any kind of interaction, professional or personal. So, why is there such a disconnect between how we've been prepared to lead and what leadership now demands? I think it's because we're a generation that straddled paradigm shifts. We went from transactional leadership to transformational leadership, and from stoicism as a survival skill to vulnerability as strength. Take my parents' generation, for example. My parents were born during the famine in the 1950s in China, and they were raised by parents who experienced World War II in the Pacific Rim. My parents learned that survival meant hard skills, physical strength, and emotional repression. Now, whether your family, like mine, inherited Confucian values on silence and duty and sacrifice, or a British version of the keep calm, carry on resilience, emotional expression just was not a luxury that previous generations could afford. In fact, authenticity and candor were often dangerous in many political regimes. But we, our generation and our children's generation, are born into relative peace and prosperity. And we're still navigating today's leadership challenges with yesterday's toolkit, where success was measured by endurance, not by emotional fluency. We are now leading diverse and globally distributed teams. We manage 2 career households. Our jobs are no longer just a paycheck, they are identity, intellectual fulfillment. And our marriages are no longer just a mandatory social contract, they are self actualization and growth. Even in rational fields like finance or tech, emotion is always present. Investing is ultimately about trust in the people who manage your capital. And programming only serves end users if we understand their emotional experience and psyche. So emotion moves markets, it moves teams, it moves people. And now AI is here. It will outperform us in many tactical tasks. But AI cannot sense tension in a room and foster consensus. It cannot rebuild trust after a rupture in a relationship. It cannot deliver a heartfelt message that rallies a team. These are not soft skills. They are essential skills of next level leadership. Emotional and relational intelligence are not bonuses. They are now the core requirement. So, how do we build this kind of intelligence and these skills? It can be as simple as 1, 2, and 3. The starting point, number one, is awareness. And that means tuning into our emotions, our patterns, our reactions, especially the unconscious ones. We cannot model authenticity or lead in a relationally intelligent way if we aren't in touch with our own internal state. The second piece is articulation. That means learning to name and express what we're feeling with greater precision to ourselves and to others. Many of us have a narrow emotional vocabulary. We can say things like, I feel good, I feel bad, I feel busy, I feel stressed. But isn't that like going to a doctor and saying, my body hurts? Wouldn't the doctor need more detail? Is it your upper body? Is it your lower body? Is it your nerve pain or is it muscle pain in order to help you? Now, this is the same when it comes to emotional communication. The more precisely we can name what we feel and voice our subjective experience of human interactions, the more we avoid misunderstanding, the more we can co-regulate with others effectively and deepen connection with others. Remember my stress-bonded bunny. Now, third and last is action. Once we grow awareness and we're able to articulate the things we become aware of, we can start showing up with intention in any key stakeholder interaction. We don't have to come with poise and polish. We come with authenticity, with presence and curiosity about someone else's subjective experience of our mutual interactions. So I want to leave you with 3 practices for building these relationally intelligent muscles. First, on awareness, make time for one-on-ones with yourself. You probably schedule regular one-on-ones with your team, but do you schedule time to check in with yourself? Create white space in your calendar to reflect on questions like, what recent interaction triggered me? How did I feel and how did I respond? If I could redo that moment, what would I say or do differently to bridge a relational gap? This is how we shift from autopilot to self-awareness. Now, the second piece, articulation, the practice I recommend here is upgrade your emotional vocabulary. You can use something called a feelings wheel, keeping one on your desk and print one out for the family fridge. You can use it on hard conversations when uncomfortable or unfamiliar feelings come up. Teach it to your kids. When you say, I'm angry, what kind of anger is it? Can you be more precise? Is it anger from frustration or anger from a feeling of disrespect or injustice? Clearer words lead to clearer self-understanding and more intentional responses, as well as deeper connections. And lastly, the third practice is take action. Start practicing emotional leadership. You don't need years of training to do this. You just need presence and honesty. So what would it be like to say in the workplace, I reacted in haste last week. Can we revisit that conversation? Or something from our last chat stayed with me. Could we talk about it sometime? To avoid coming across as awkward or cringy, you can ask for permission and extend invitations for vulnerability. We can open the door to deeper conversations, but we shouldn't be dragging people forcefully through the door. You can say, I don't want to pry, but if you ever want to talk about what's going on at work or at home, I'm here to listen. And remember to always clarify your inner intention. Are you trying to perform authenticity, or are you genuinely seeking connection? You don't need to be a perfect leader. You just need to keep making the smallest increments of progress. And if you get stuck, one of the most present and honest things you can say is, I don't know what to say, but I feel the weight of this, and I'm here. That's what real connection looks like. That's what leadership sounds like. And that's what the future is asking from us. Thank you for joining me on Expert Voices. If this episode inspired you, share it forward. Let's keep reimagining what leadership can be together. To find me and discover more voices and perspectives, visit keynotewomen.com and stay tuned for more stories, bold ideas, and leadership reimagined.